Doc. Sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
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 please.
yes,
Yes,
please,
I
we can hear
can
you.
hear you.
Yes,
Okay.
please, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So today we continue by looking at planning for teaching and learning. Planning for teaching and learning. We started by looking at the concept of teaching and learning and various principles that underpin them, where we said that teaching in this 21st century is not about you imparting knowledge or transferring knowledge or imbibing some sense into the minds of the learner, but rather it's about providing the necessary guidelines for the learners themselves to construct their own knowledge from their experiences. And we said that in terms of learning, effective learning occurs when whatever you have acquired, you are able to retain it and result in a positive change in the life of the learner. And that is what learning means. That means that if you say that you have learned something, that thing should reflect in your life, your attitude, your behavior, and the way and manner you respond to issues so far as that particular thing you have learned is concerned. Then on Friday, we looked at the general principles where we discussed the various principles that governs the act of teaching or the how teaching is done. Where we talk about the selection principle, where we said that as a teacher, it's not possible you can teach everything within a period. Hence, if you cannot teach everything, what do? You have to determine which aspect of the topic to treat first, and the rest will follow subsequently. So the process that leads to you deciding what to teach at a particular point in time and what should follow is what we term as selection principle. We also talked about the objective or purpose principle, active engagement or activity principle. We also talk about the principle of logical teaching and contiguity, among others. Now, today we are looking at planning for teaching and learning. And yeah, what we are trying to appreciate is that we all know that as teachers, when the year begins, the school year begins or the term begins, there are a lot of tasks that we are supposed to perform as teachers, where we need to be thinking of the kind of activity to be done within the week, the semester, the term, the month, among others, which influence the kind of scheme of work we are going to develop, and subsequently into lesson plan or learner planning. So as we always say that planning is the most important thing in every life of a teacher. That's why there's this adage that if you fail to plan, you plan to what? If you fail to plan, you plan to what? You plan to fail.
Plan to fail.
Yes. So it is important for every teacher to also prioritize planning so far as your profession is concerned. And so as a teacher, we want to know some of the things that you have to bear in mind whenever you are planning for your instruction. Now, the question is that, yes, if I'm planning, what are some of the things that should guide my planning? So in teacher planning, we have something called principles of teacher planning. As a teacher, if you are planning for the term, for the month, for the week, what are some of the things that should guide your planning? And you remember I told you yesterday, no, that was a Friday, that the first critical point of call when it comes to teacher planning is to know your students. What we call the know your student principle. Here we are referring to the fact that as a teacher, you must have a thorough understanding and appreciation of who your learners are as an individual, not as a group. What are the individual learners' strengths and weaknesses, their age, their maturity level, their level of understanding? You see, all these things will let you have a better appreciation of the learners you are handling and how you can model the lesson to meet their individual needs. Come to think of it, if you have a friend and you want to do something for the friend that the friend will be happy, won't you do something that the friend prefers or likes? Will you do something that the friend does not like? If you want to do something at least you know what I like and what I don't like, so that you don't do what I don't like in order to make me feel bad. So you want to do something, you have to know whether the person likes it or not. It's just like you want to produce a product and you don't know whether people will buy your product or not, then you are going to produce. At least you do sample, you let people have a taste of it and decide, oh, it's good, do it this way, do it that way, to give you an idea of the taste of the people and the market available. It's the same thing about your learners. It is because of the learners you are planning. So the first thing is that you must have an appreciation of who your learners are. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses when it comes to instructional activities and learning? What are their level of maturity, their level of assimilation, their level of understanding? How do their learning styles, their socioeconomic backgrounds, because these socioeconomic and cultural background goes a long way to influence what they learn and how they adjust in class. Don't forget, in the principles of learning, we said that the prior knowledge of the student or the learner can hinder or what enhances his learning. And the prior knowledge are the knowledge they obtain from the community they come from the house or the homes they come from, because they have been socialized by their parents, by community members, by elders, among others. So you need to, the first thing in teacher planning is to have these know your student principle. That's the first one, very, very important. So I remember yesterday, someone asked a question. Okay, it wasn't it was a different group. So the next point is have knowledge of context. That's the next principle. Apart from having a clear picture about the student you are handling, as a teacher, you must also have a knowledge of what? Context. The context you are referring to, the subject itself you are handling. What are the nuances of the subject? What are the organizations? What are the structure of the subject you are handling? So if it's a geography teacher, you should have an appreciation of the new standard-based curriculum that we are using. You should have a knowledge of the teacher manual, the geography teacher manual. You should have a thorough knowledge of it. look at how it has been structured. Now, first we talk of physical, human, and map work. Now we are no more talking about that. We are talking about Earth and its neighborhood. We are talking about navigating through the environment. We are talking about the environment and human something, all a reflective strands of the previous physical Earth. So as a teacher, you must have a thorough knowledge of all these things. You must have knowledge of the activities that have been outlined in the subject. In fact, even the language skills and the language type of your subject area. Every subject has its own terminologies and their own meaning altogether. Like we're doing in nature of geography, when we're talking about the issue of concept of distribution. In a normal English sense, it is different from what it means in geography. So as a teacher, you must also have an appreciation. And you see, one thing you must appreciate that when it comes to geography, most of our terminologies are not English. They are either Greek, they are either Latin. So most of the terms you come. For example, when you talk of climatology, geomorphology, all these logical terms are mostly terminologies that are of Greek oriented or Latin oriented. And so it is important that you appreciate all these terminologies and use them appropriately to help your learners also come to terms with the jargons and the language of the subject. Also, as a teacher, you must also have a knowledge of the institution that you find yourself. The school that you are there, you are teaching. Every school has its own organogram, rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. Whether it's a missionary school, for example, you know, recently there was an issue with the Wesley girls, which is purely a missionary school, a Methodist school. And people are raising issues about how other students are treated there. The same thing when you go to an Islamic school, it's a missionary school in terms of Islamic. And there are certain things that as a teacher, you cannot do it there. The fact that you are a Christian, your faith tells you Jesus Christ and those things, and you find yourself in a school who does not believe in that, you cannot let your dispositions or your belief system influence whatever you are teaching. Or else you create chaos for you. So it is not only about the subject area, the language type, but also the institution that you find yourself, its rules and regulations, things that you cannot do and things that you can do. Some teachers, what they are doing in the secondary school today, they take advantage of the free SHS and try to extort money from the students in the name of classes, in the name of helping them to pass and all these things. These things are things that if care is not taken can create a serious problem for the student, especially communities where they are not good in terms of financially to provide some of these funds. That's why I need to have a thorough background of even the socioeconomic and the cultural background of the learners in order not to do things that will scare the student from coming to school. I remember I've been to a Jahan College of Education in Wa. And we did some research over there when they were under UCs. And we got to realize that almost about 40% of the students are Christians. But you dress like a Muslim. You put on the veil. They are uniform. It's College of Education. But their uniform is like a Muslim. That's how you dress. That's how you behave. Because when you go to Rome, you do what Romans do. And I was like, but you, if you're a Christian, how have you dressed like a Muslim with all these things? The same thing when you go to Al Farouk in Wenchi College of Education. So you see, whenever you find yourself in a missionary school, it is not only about government because government is paying teachers and those things. It is also about the foundations of the school. What's the essence of the school? Building the school. That's why when you find yourself in such institution, you must comply by the rules and the regulations of the school. I'm not saying that what Wesley Girls was doing for not allowing the people to pray is the best. As for prayer, at least give room for them to pray. But in that so doing, Wesley girls, even Methodist students are not given permission to practice gumshoe and those things. They all put them together as Protestants. They do one service, and that's the end. So why should they allow one denomination to pray, whilst even their own church union, they don't allow them to meet? So what I'm trying to say is that as part of the knowledge of context, you must also have a thorough knowledge of the institution you find yourself. You may find out if it's a community school, there's no problem. If it's a missionary school, please appreciate yourself with what is happening there and make sure either you fall in line or you go somewhere you can fit. The next is variety. As we have all come to attest to the fact that we have different learners with different learning abilities and learning styles, it is important that as a teacher, we vary our instructional strategies, techniques, activities, so that each and every learner with different learning styles is able to meet his or her needs. Like we said, some students learn by doing, others learn by hearing. That's the best they learn. Others also learn by seeing. So whilst you vary your instructional activities by using question and answer brainstorm, you are helping those who learn best by hearing. Whilst you bring in the group discussion, role play, the field work activity and all that, you also help those who learn best by doing. And also role play, demonstration, visuals, videos, and those also help those who learn by seeing. So that brings the point of variety, varying your instructional activities, so that at the end of the day, students will achieve their best. And that is why the standard-based curriculum that we have what we call a keynote of differentiation or differentiated learning. And this is where the teacher has a responsibility to help each and every learner to be able to achieve his abilities, aspect of the learning through his own ability. The next principle we are talking about is the principle of coherence or cohesiveness. And we are saying that all activities serve common objectives, and each activity should be connected by the teacher using the necessary connective devices to make the lesson a wholeness of harmoniousness. Now, when we talk of coherence or cohesiveness, you know, in the days that when we're doing English comprehension, where we write essays, you see that you write an essay, and when they are marking, as part of the marking, they check something called mechanical accuracy. They look at coherence, then they attribute marks and those things. Do you know, have you remembered that those times? Those of you are English, so that they have mechanical accuracy, they have coherence and those things. In the coherence, what they are trying to see, that they want to see the logical flow of the development of your thoughts. So if you say intro, whatever you are saying must border on the introduction. If you are moving from the intro to definitional concept, whatever you are discussing should be about definitional concept. If you move to definition and you are going to, let's say, formation, whatever you are talking about should be about formation. It is not when you are talking about formation, then you jump in a definitional concept. That is inconsistent, incoherent. So the incoherent ensures a transitional flow, a smooth flow from one point to the other. That is why as a teacher, I see whenever you are planning, you must ensure that whatever you are presenting the knowledge, it should build up from a certain point where you will link it up to the simple task towards the higher order tasks. So for example, whenever you are defining, talking about, let's say, a concept like rocks, the principle of coherence will ensure that when you are talking about the definition of rock, we should discuss everything about the definition of rock, jot down the point, give room for students to ask questions about the definition of rock before you transcend them to the types. So that when they get to the types, you discuss everything about it, you give room for questioning before you also transcend to another. What teachers normally do, they want to finish all the lesson before they give room for questions. That is not the best. At every stage of each stage of the learn outcome or the objective, you give room for questioning before you transcend or you transition them to another stage. So that you see, the problem is that when you want to wait for them to finish everything to a certain point before you ask a question, a student who asks a question with definition would have forgotten the question. So students will raise their hand, the madam say, oh, you wait, I'll give you time to ask a question. Write your question down. If you can write the question down and not forget, he wouldn't have raised the hand. And by the time some of you tell the student and you forgot to even give them opportunity to ask the question again. And when you remember, by the time you call the student, you tell them, oh, because he has forgotten, or what he will say that, oh, it's everything, the whole show, and you are annoyed. So the principle of coherence tells you that you transition or you move from the lesson in a logical and systematical manner, in a sequential manner, to avoid interjection or interplay of jumping or intertwining and creating that confusion in the minds of the learner. And that is why we are saying that even when you are moving from one stage to the other, you must draw student attention to transition them that we are moving on to the next stage. So when you are talking about formation, and instead of explaining, you are bringing something which has nothing bearing with the formation, that is incoherent. So please, let's take note of that. Mostly it's teachers who don't plan, that come to class with textbooks and those things, they end up just fraying all the things that they do in class. And those who rush in planning, some teachers wait early in the morning, then they sit in a classroom planning their lesson, all because they have textbooks, they have everything, and they even, some teachers even sit in class opening their textbook and teaching from textbook, which is totally wrong. When you ask them, oh, say them student more from an agasana, well, a chawan bibi fufu bebre na come or textbook na chirawana one will be free. That is not how you should handle them. You are developing a 21st century learners who needs to be creative, who don't need to be fed, who don't need to be just copying answers on the board. So some of you go to the extent of even when the answers on, then you give exercise on the board that they should copy the answers for you. No, that is not what we do. Then what is the essence of the exercise? There's oh, say, if this student, they don't know. Even you, when you leave the answers card, they will get it wrong. So say you, Angasan, you have declared your students that for them, nothing good can come out of Nazareth. The next principle we want to touch on is flexibility. As part of their planning as a teacher, you see, you are not God, that you can be able to predict what may happen in the course of your delivery. The same way you are not a machine. In fact, even at times, machines will break down. Computers normally have their hard disks breaking down. Is that also? Is that not the case? So that means that
Yes, Doc. It's crashing.
since you are also a human being, that you are not a machine, you are not a computer to grab everything in your mind, there is a need for you to plan well, and in the quest of your planning, be flexible as much as possible. So that because you are not a machine or you are not God, since you cannot predict what may happen in the course of your delivery, you must be able to give room for some level of flexibility, so that in case of, someone will say, in case of incasity, which is not a good English, but someone said it. In case of unforeseen happenings, anything that you did not anticipate to do occur, you know, be thrown out of balance. But when you are so rigid to what you have planned, that you want to go this way, at the end of the day, if anything comes out, you may fall flat. Because, for example, you have planned your 60-minute lesson or 2 hours, 120-minute lesson. Then you are fixated that you want to finish that topic without giving room for flexibility. What happens is that in the course of your delivery, maybe you are done with your 2 objectives and the student happens to fall sick and vomit in the classroom. Will you tell that student, hey, Master, Me benya bra me be chere ma dia man fifi o masa wo be ha me o. When you do that, that is more being insensitive as a teacher. At that moment, you must stop the teaching, attend to that child, possibly take the child to the sick bay, and even if you come to continue, you even have to get time to psych the remaining learners to have a right frame of mind to learn, because their friend is sick, has vomited. He has to be taken to the sick bay. Even if you come back, the vomit must be wiped away from the classroom and the student must be psyched again. But that time would have covered a number of your time. So you may not be able to finish. That is why we are saying be flexible as much as possible. So that based on that, if maybe you wanted to do group discussion, and because of what happened, your time is limited. The principle of flexibility gives you the opportunity to change that group discussion to any technique. Though you have already written it in your lesson note and you have the lesson note prepared and marked by your headmistress, the principle of flexibility gives you that opportunity to change without necessarily changing it in the lesson note in the course of delivery. The flexibility gives you the opportunity to make an impromptu changes in the lesson without its corresponding change in the lesson plan, so that at the end of the day, you can meet your time. So even when there's a supervisor in your classroom supervising, having your lesson note, and you have said that third objectives, you are using group discussion, but because of what happened, you cannot use the group discussion because you will not finish. The principle of flexibility gives you room to change that from group discussion to maybe question and answer in order to finish. Maybe you said you were going to do exercise, written exercise, but due to the time and what happened, you are not going to do it. The principle of flexibility gives you room to change it from written exercise to even oral exercise. So when the supervisor will look at it and note it down, say, but a good supervisor after teaching is supposed to do what you call post-observation discussion with you. And is supposed to inquire from you at objective 2. You said you were going to do group discussion, but you ended up using question and answer. Why? Then you offer the explanation that because the student vomited and by the time we came back, when I tend to do the group discussion, I will not be able to finish. That's why I change it to question and answer. If that supervisor is a well-trained and well-cultured supervisor who has gone through principles and methods of teaching, who knows the principles of teacher planning and principle of flexibility, it should rather clap for you than to query you. But unfortunately, most of our college tutors and those things are still falling in the old days of doing things, old days of doing that. I remember there was a student I was supervising for masters, and his work was taken to an assessment. When the work came from assessment, a lot of comments have been made that he should do the corrections. And I asked the student to send me the comment. And when I saw the comment, I realized that this comment was from assessor who is not up to task. It's not good. So I inquired and I realized that it was given to someone, a friend of one of the dean who was in the different college of education at Tekropon, because that person has a PhD. And I said, no. You see, you give a master's work to somebody in the college using that college mindset, that action research mindset in this age and era to assess a master of education work in educational studies. So I have to call the HOD and I took the picture. I said, HOD, look at it. How can somebody assessing a work to the extent that even the name of the department, he wants to change the name of department? To the extent that the instrument that you have to give a detailed description of the instrument and what entails in the instrument. He said all those things are no good. Remove it from there. Hey, what kind of supervisor is this? Assessor is this? So I showed it to the HOD and they did and said, oh, that is quite unfortunate. So I have to tell the student not to do those corrections. You should maintain whatever has been done and submit it, because I've confronted the HOD. And so you see, you need to be flexible and need to be time. You need to, as a teacher, you need to have a 21st century mindset. You have to be in touch with the current happenings in the area of the subject. Other than that, you will still fall in the primitive way of doing things and you'll be left out. So flexibility tells you that as a teacher, be as flexible as much as possible so that you can be creative and adaptive to the circumstances, and that gives you the opportunity also to make an impromptu changes when the exigency of the time requires it. And that's why flexibility in teacher planning is very important. Will you tell a regional director of education who has come to your school, wants to meet all the teachers, and say that, oh, regional director, I'm one objectives, into time or staff room, I will attend to you. Who bondog by the time you realize you have been transferred to a senior high school? You are there anyway. So these are things that we are encouraging you teachers. Be flexible as much as possible. And don't always think that you have all the knowledge. Be flexible. The flexibility also stems from the fact that whatever you know, it is not only sacrosanct. Some students are having more information than you. Some are even more getting access to more websites of information than you. So you must also be flexible in quest of your knowledge provision and the knowledge search when students are providing you with answers. When you are not clear, let the student explain further. If not, let us all research further and discuss it. Don't be so fixated that what you are saying is wrong. Is that so? Take what I'm giving you. No, we have passed that stage. In the 21st century and the standard way, there's nothing like take what I'm giving you. It is about what the learners have researched. They provide it to you. What you have, if you have something, you also bring yours. We build consensus, knowledge sharing, think per share, not you providing knowledge. Now, why do we need to plan as a teacher? As a teacher, you need to plan. And I'm sure that none of you here goes to school without planning. Or is there someone like that? Is there someone like that? Now, the question is, why do we need to plan as a teacher? I know you have already go through the material. So you share with me, why do we need to plan? Share with me with this, so I will not waste my time. You are teachers already. You plan every day. If you don't plan, when I call you, tell me that you don't plan so that you don't say anything. But if you plan, you tell me so. So Stephen, why do you plan? If you don't plan, tell me you don't plan so that I go to another person. Yeah, Stephen. Hey, Stephen, are you with us? Hello, Stephen. Hey, Cosweb, you are online too, but you cannot hear us. Or you are eating fufu. Okay, Judith.
Okay, sir. So when it first of all gives you the confidence, it also saves time.
When you plan, it makes you what?
It makes you very confident in your lesson
It makes you
delivery and
confident
also
in your
saves
lesson
time.
delivery. It saves time.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yes. Because you know what you're left from right. So it builds your confidence. You know what you're about. You know where you have researched, you have done all the necessary. So it builds your confidence. And it's also save time for you to stop speaking out of context. One is ending up bringing his life history. Time work college, time work secondary school. No, you say, buying time, my friend. Stop this wasteful venture and go straight to the point. Prepare well and execute well. Yeah, Stephen.
So please, when you plan as a teacher, it ensures the quality of teaching.
What do you mean by
Or
quality
it
of
makes your
teaching? Can
teaching
you say
quality.
something? Can you say something about that?
So when you plan more, you understand the skills and the methodologies that you have to use in the course of the lesson
Yes.
delivery, thereby
Yes.
increasing the understanding of your learners.
Yes. You see, it's also when you are planning, you are able to know what topic you are teaching and read around, research, and where you don't even have mastery, you read, right, you consult, and to know the nuances of that topic and the kind of methodology when you use it will easily ensure smooth learning. That's why we are saying that when you do all these things and you plan, it ensures that there is a quality teaching which will aid quality what? Learning. If teaching does not take place, how will learning take place? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. So, as a teacher, you need to plan to help you organize your content, and then it also help you to choose or select the appropriate learning materials for that particular lesson.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Mr. Asante, I saw your hand initially.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say that planning also help you to stay focused on what you intend to teach.
Yes, it makes you focus.
And then, yes, sir. It also, you have to plan to know the categories of learners that you are supposed to teach, the fast learners and the slow learners as well. So you know how to prepare for them.
Very good. So, like you are saying, when you plan, it makes you have that sense of purpose, focus, and direction where you are going from. Mr. Amwa.
So, teacher planning helps to cater for the diverse learning needs of your students in the classroom.
Great, great. Any other? Asante, your hand is still up again, or is it old hand? Emmanuel, Mr. Asante. Okay. So all that you have said are in line. So just as what I also have, you see, it helps you to ensure that classroom instruction is aligned with curriculum goals and what objectives. Yes, because see, the curriculum that you have been given, for example, the geography standard-based curriculum. Hey, I promise of sharing it with you.
Yes,
Oh, it wasn't this class.
Yes, sir. You promise us, sir.
Okay. Then Stephen, remind me tomorrow.
You promise us, eh?
Yes. So
okay, sir, I'll do
Stephen,
that.
remind me so that I will share it. So we are saying that it's, you see, when you are preparing the scheme of work or scheme of learning, you don't just create it from your mind. You pick it from the teacher's manual. Now we don't call syllabus again. We say teacher's manual or the curriculum itself. You see, that is where you picked it from. So when you are able to plan well, you are able to ensure that the classroom instruction is aligned with what is in the curriculum, be the topics where you are able to align it with the goals and objectives that are stipulated in the curriculum. It also gives direction and sense of what purpose to the entire teaching, which Emmanuel Asante said it. That's focus. That is sense of purpose and direction. It also gives teachers a great allowance of time to think through their lesson goals and objectives and how they are going to maneuver through it, like Stephen said, so that you know the methodologies, the skills, and things that you must bring to bear to achieve these instructional goals. It also makes teachers to put together an area of knowledge and understanding before the actual teaching. That's the one you plan, and that will bring in the confidence level that we are talking about. It also ensures quality teaching and learning as it has been espoused. Then it makes teachers become more accountable for learners' learning. And lastly, it also allows the teacher to think clearly about their instructional or clearly about their desired outcomes or the learning outcomes for the instruction. And they are not, these are 7 important, they are not exhaustive, means that you can have more of this as well. Any question on this one before we come to the lesson plan or the learner plan? Any question? Or any contribution?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, we are looking at lesson plan and learning planner. Previously in the objective base, we say lesson plan. And now we are saying we shouldn't say lesson plan, but we should say learner planner. But the question is, why are they saying we shouldn't say lesson plan but learner planner? Why? Those of you who went for the first training for the standard base, why are they saying that? I remember when they came for the training, some of them, I asked them and they were saying that that's what they were told. So
Okay,
why?
please, because they are saying that it's child-centered or learner-centered. So it should be learner planner.
But if you say lesson plan, that one is not child-centered. Eh? Mami Aponza.
Yes, dog. Yes, dog.
So that was what you were told there.
So the lesson plan, also it's a preparation for a teacher towards his teaching and learning. But this time around, they want the activity-based class where learners are engaged more, or the activities are based on the learner's interest.
But in the
So,
learning plans to the learner's interest, lesson plan to the learner's interest are catered. The learners can be engaged actively in the lesson plan. But anyway, thank you for the contribution. You see, the whole idea of the lesson, see, the moment you hear a lesson plan, implicitly or logically, the notion tends to be the responsibilities on the teacher to provide research and gather the knowledge and come and present. But the moment you say learner plan, that means that the learner becomes the center or the focus of the delivery. That's why if you check the standard base, now there's nothing like core points, where the teacher has to research and provide the core point that you provide to students. But rather in the standard base, now you see what we call teacher activity and learner what activity. Even in the teacher activity, the teacher do not even state any core content there. He doesn't state knowledge or answers there. Rather, it is the activity the teacher will provide for the student to perform that activity in order to generate the knowledge. That's why I say that's a teacher activity. Teacher asks students to form groups of 3 to discuss this. When you can learn activity, learner form mixed groups ability of this, and learners discuss this. That is teacher learner activity. If it were to be the previous lesson plan, you could have seen teacher activity, learner activity, and core what point. So the lesson plan, its name and its suggestion appears to be more or less like a responsibility of the teacher to research and come and provide knowledge. That's why I said now, let the student be the focus, the fulcrum of all this activity. So whatever activity you are trying, guidelines or things you want to bring, it should be about the learner taking charge or the learner doing it by themselves, not you providing. That's why I would say that it is better to say learner plan than to say lesson plan. Not just because students are not engaged, not just because it is the teacher who will do everything, not just because it's the teacher who is to plan it and come and deliver in the classroom. Yes, even in the learner plan, the teacher also plan. The teacher is also involved. But in terms of the involvement, the learner plan, the student takes 80% of it. Whilst in the lesson plan, the teacher does 80% of it. Are you getting the picture? Hello?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
please.
Stephen. Stephen, your hand is up.
Doc, so please, yes, Doc, so please, are you saying that with the new standard-based curriculum, when it comes to the activities, we're not supposed to write any content and anything about the subject matter over there, should only be the activities?
Have you ever seen, I will show you, but I even sent you a sample on the page. The sample, did you see
Yes.
content or core points there? Did you see anything like that there?
No, please. But
there's nothing like
Doc,
that.
it's like, yes, I'm asking because some of us, we do that. After stating the activity, we write something a bit about the content. I don't know whether my colleagues will bear me witness, or maybe they understand what I'm trying to say.
You see, in ideal situation, the students should have textbooks, workbooks, practical sections, and all those things that they themselves will take up the work and provide the knowledge for you. So in fact, that activity, that activity that the students are going to do, is that through that activity the students are supposed to provide you that knowledge that you want to provide to them. Are you getting it? So for example, if you are talking about the formation of rocks, instead of you coming to tell us that igneous rock was formed by so and so, you providing the content of it. Per this standard way, what you are supposed to do is that you can group the students into 3 different groups. One group will discuss the formation either by watching a video or by watching motion pictures of how a rock is forming. Another group will watch sedimentary and metamorphic. Give them some time. Let them organize, discuss it among themselves. Let them watch the videos. Then after, they will come and present in groups how these rocks, per what they have observed, how it's formed. That is what we mean by the standard-based learning, teacher activity, learner activity. So here you are not going to provide that igneous rock is formed through so and so and so and so and so. So if you are saying teacher activity and then you are providing the content for them on the board to copy, it is virtually like what you are doing the old thing. But I will not also begrudge you because of
talking about.
I will not also begrudge you because of the settings that you find yourself, the structural problem that is confronting the standard base. So when that's what I'm telling you, if you remember, I told you the last time that if care is not taken, we'll end up teaching this standard way like the old way we are teaching. I will not see any tremendous differences or improvement. Yeah, Stephen, you wanted to say something again.
Yes, yes, Doc, please. My emphasis is laid on the note, the lesson plan itself, that the lesson note itself, not the delivery process. That in the course of planning the lesson plan, we are not supposed to write anything about the content in the lesson plan. But the activity part should only be the activity, like perhaps teacher put learners into group to discuss rocks or to explain the term igneous rocks. Those are the key points that should be there, but nothing about the content. So that's all, please.
Yeah, that's the standard base for the senior high school. But Osako, for let me hear you. Maybe Osako want to say something.
Okay, I just wanted to say this. Maybe if what Steven is saying, I think I want to clarify if that one is what he's saying. I think, Doug, he wanted to say that sometimes in writing the lesson plan, maybe you can say teacher activity or learner activity 1. Learners in group discuss about the importance of rocks. Some people go to the extent to state some importance of rock in the lesson notes. After stating that, maybe learners in their groups will discuss about the importance of rocks. And then in the lesson note, they'll still state the importance, or maybe let's say they'll write something like expected answers. And then they'll 1, 2. I think that's what Stephen wants to say.
Oh, okay.
Yes, please.
Is that what you are saying?
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, so for me, especially with the senior high school standard base, you are not supposed to write the content of like the knowledge there. For example, yeah, igneous rock is like the types of igneous rock. What you have to do is that because it's an activity that the students themselves will generate the knowledge. Rather, you will say that maybe put students into maybe 3 different groups for them to discuss the various types of rocks, maybe namely igneous, sediment, and metamorphic. Then teach student activity. Learners form mixed ability groups of 3, which each group discuss one of the types of rocks. That's what you are going to say. You are not going to provide that igneous rock is formed through so as part of the teacher activity and the learner activity. I don't know if I've answered it or I'm still not getting it.
Please, I'm okay, please.
Okay. So we'll just get to the point where we look at the sample I sent you to the page. So people, we are saying, let's look at the difference between, so we are saying the lesson plan is a design that shows how the elements of the lesson are systematically organized and sequenced for presentation over a period of time. But the learner planner is a framework, a structured Structured means that it has its own standard of formulation that educators use to organize, sequence, and manage instructional processes, ensuring alignment to specific objectives and curriculum outcomes. So now let's look at some of the features of a learning planner. Now, the learning planner serves as a roadmap that outlines the progression of learning activity. So one of the key features of learner planner is not just about the student getting 100%, 20% pass or fail, but it's about how the students are progressing in the learning activity, in the instructional activity. That's why portfolio assessment is one of the assessments that is emphasized in the standard base. It is flexible, enabling educators to adapt to evolving student needs. So it means that at every point in time, it can be modified to meet the developing needs of the learner. That's why if you check the keynotes of differentiation, there are various levels of activity that can be employed to help each and every student to meet his or her needs in the instructional activity. It incorporates detailed assessment plan, which provide ongoing feedback to students and help educators track academic progress. It supports time management by setting clear milestones and deadlines for student tasks. It is an essential tool to foster active, student-centered learning activity. Now, let's look at some of the difference between lesson plan and learner plan. One, we are saying that, is your hand up? Or is an old hand?
It's an old hand, sorry.
Okay. Lesson plans focus on teaching and delivering of content, whilst learner plans focus on the learner's needs, goals, and progress. That's why I was so saddened when the Ministry of Education made the U-turn to say that students are going to write BEC and WASI. The initial formulation of the standard based in that progressional manner was that they are not going to write BEC, they are not going to write WASI. Rather, at the basic level, they are going to take a national standardized exams and progress on their learning. That's why SHS1 was classified as part of the basic. Is it basic 9 or basic 10? Is it basic 9 or basic 10?
10, please.
Basic 10, yes. So right after the basic 10, then we do what you call high school diploma, like they do in America. Then SHS 2 and 3 becomes high school diploma. Then when you finish, we give you a diploma certificate. Then you write entrance exams to the university. That was the initial planning and the initial documentation reform, until they turn again to bring in BEC and WASI. And the moment you bring these BEC and WASI as a standard of assessment of what they are going, it defeats the purpose of the standard base. Because in some of the tasks, some of the skills you want to develop, like the 21st century skills and all those things, cannot be obtained by the WAEC exams. Because the focus of the standard base is to focus on learners' needs, goals, and their progress. And WAEC cannot help you to determine the student need assessment or goals and progress. Now, lesson plan also outlines what the teacher will do to facilitate learning, whilst learner plan outlines how the learner will achieve specific learning objectives, not that what teacher will do. Lesson plan often cater to a group, whilst learner plans are tailored to an individual. That's why we have differentiated learning, where you must be able to address each individual learner's needs in the course of the learning process. It guides the teacher through a specific instructional session, ensuring short-term objectives are met. That's lesson plan. But in learner plan, it organizes and sequence learning over time, ensuring alignment with the long-term course goals. Now, in lesson plan, teacher owns lesson plan. Whilst in learner plan, the learner owns the learner plan with the support from the teacher. The lesson plan emphasizes instructional strategies and materials, whilst learner plan emphasizes learner autonomy, agency, and self-directed learning. Lesson plan often follows a standardized format, but the learner plan is flexible, adaptable to accommodate learners' needs, learners' pace and needs as well. So these are some of the differences that exist between lesson plan and learner plan. Now we have the elements of learner plan. But before that, let me share some of the templates for the learner plan that are being used in the senior high school geography, so that you come to terms with how it is. I think I shared even copies with you on the platform. Do you remember? Okay. So now there's the template. Have you seen it? So this is the template that is used at the senior high school for planning lessons. So we have the learner planner where we have the subjects, the week. Yeah, Lord, your hand is up. Any problem? Lord. Hello?
So I think it's a mistake.
Okay. So we have the strand, we have the substrand, the content standard, learning outcomes, learning indicators, essential questions, which a number of these things were not in the old standard base, old objective type of curriculum. Then we have essential question, pedagogical strategies, teaching learning resources, key note on differentiation is also there. Then we have keywords. Then we come to the main lesson itself, where we have teacher activity and learner activity. We have starter, we have your introductory activity, and under the learner activity, you also have the same activity. Then activity 1, activity 2, depending on your learning outcomes. Then we have assessment, which should be aligned with the curriculum and the subject teacher manual. So every subject, so we have the geography teacher's manual, which I'm sure some of you have come across some of them. If not true, I'll share some of them with you after here. So the assessment to you assess is based on the various level of knowledge. So the low order thinking skill, high to high order thinking skills. Then we have the lesson closure, where the exercises, the closure exercises must reflect, activity must reflect the key essential questions that you stated up there. Then we have reflection and remarks. Then we have reflection or remarks. So that's the template for the senior high school standard-based geography Now, having seen the template, now let's go back and look at what goes on into each of the terms that we have here. Okay. So the subject we all know is geography. When you say the week, we are basically talking about the specific time frame within which the lesson are delivered. So it could be week 1, week 2. Then duration, it refers to the length of time allotted for each lesson or activity within the week. And take note, some of the duration, the hours that are allocated for the week, the duration, it could span the whole week. So at times you could see 180 hours or 200 hours or minutes or that kind of thing. That should tell you that that particular activity is for the whole week. So when you come across some of the teacher's manual, you could see that some of the duration could go beyond 120 minutes. That should tell you that some of the activity are for the week. Then we have the form that refers to the level of or the class you are facilitating their learning. Then the strand refers to the broad area or section of the subject content to be studied. Just like we previously have the topic and subtopic. So the substance is what we previously referred to as the sub topic. So we have the earth and its neighborhood as a strand. Then the substrands are the topics within each strand under which the content is organized. So example of a substrand is the earth and its features. Are you following? Then we have the content standard. This content standard is a predetermined level of knowledge, skill, or attitude that a learner attains by the set stage of education. Take note. So it is not about by the end of the lesson. So the content standard is what has been already determined as part of the curriculum development, what learners are supposed to achieve having gone through that level of education. So if you are doing geography, having gone through geography in year 1, what do you seek to achieve in terms of the content standard? And most of these things are predetermined. They are already determined in the teacher's manual. It is already there for you, depending on the topics by those who developed the various teacher's manual. So it is not you, the teacher, who is going to determine that. It is already determined for you. So for example, well, you can have a content standard that says that students will demonstrate understanding of geography as a subject of study. That is having gone through the subject geography. Then we have learning outcomes. So learning outcomes articulate the specific knowledge, skills, and attitudes that are expected to be demonstrated by the end of a lesson or unit. So that's the learning outcomes. So for example, with your understanding of environmental features, explain the meaning of geography and identify its branches. These are learning example of a learning outcome. There's knowledge, skill, and attitude that you are expected to demonstrate by the end of a lesson or a unit. Then learning indicators, they are measurable and observable behaviors that indicate whether students have achieved the specified learning outcomes. So it is through the learning outcomes that will help you to determine whether the learning indicators have been achieved. So for example, if a student is able to explain what geography is and some features of the earth, that is learning outcomes. But if the student go a step further to let this achievement of the knowledge of geography and the features of the earth reflect in his attitude and behavior of what he does to the environment, that is a learning indicator, because we want to look at the observable behaviors or exhibit of the learner having gone through that lesson or experience. That's why this is measurable and observable behaviors, not only the knowledge and the skills that the learner are supposed to what? Demonstrate. So I remember when we're talking about the first, I think the first unit of the teaching geography. We were able to try to find a base for the learning outcomes and indicators. Now let's look at essential questions. These are open-ended inquiries that promote critical thinking and exploration of core themes within the subject. Then we have pedagogical strategies, which are basically the various methods, techniques, or approaches that educators want to use to facilitate or promote student engagement. So, example, you can use experiential learning, exploratory learning, question and answer, brainstorming, problem-based, subject-based, collaborative, think per share. These are all pedagogical strategies that can be used to achieve the instructional activities. Then we have the exemplar, what we call pedagogical exemplar. Now, the pedagogical exemplar is a support or guidance which clearly explains the expected outcomes of an indicator and suggests what teaching and learning activities could take to support the facilitators, teachers in the delivery of the curriculum. So the pedagogical exemplar is more or less like an information that are provided to support the teacher or the facilitator in the delivery of the lesson, leading to the achievement of the learning indicator. So after here, we will just look at example of an pedagogical exemplar in the standard base. Now, teaching learning resources refers to the material, tools, and technologies that support instructional and enhance the learning experience. So we have Atlas, Globe, mobile, computer apps, Google Earth. These are all examples of teaching learning resources that can be used, which some of them we have talked about it in teaching geography. We have keynotes on differentiation, which ensures that the needs of diverse learners are met, which we have already been talking. Then we have keywords, which refers to the essential vocabulary that students need to understand and use in the lesson. We have the starter, which is the initial activity that engages students at the beginning of the lesson. So for example of a starter could be that teacher leads learners out to the compound to observe the environment and make a list of environmental features they see in the environment. So that becomes a starter. A teacher can also use a song that borders on whatever you are going to learn for them to sing. And another teacher can also use a video for them to watch a video as a starter and use questions from the video to also. There are so many ways you can employ a starter in this regard. So teacher activity, it outlines specific actions that the teacher will take to facilitate learning. The learner activity, which involves the task student will undertake to engage with the material. Assessment refers to methods used to evaluate student understanding and progress of the lesson. Then lesson closure involves summarizing key points of the lesson and consolidating learners' understanding before transitioning to the next section of the lesson. Then we have reflection and remarks, which provides an opportunity for both teachers and learners to consider what worked well during the lesson and what could be improved. So an example of reflection could be that, for example, the starter, well, you can ask, was the starter stimulating enough? Pedagogy, how best did I use the pedagogies to create and sustain the interest of the learners and to promote learning? Were the resources enough, adequate, and timely used and meeting the diverse needs of the student? Did the assessment address the learning indicators? Then we have what we call the cross-cutting issue. Did I integrate the gender equality and social inclusion? Did I integrate social emotional learning? Did I integrate 21st century skills and national values in my lesson? And please, reflection can be done together with the students, or you can also do it alone by asking yourself these questions to address yourself with what you have done. But I believe that when you do it together with the learners, it becomes more profitable than you doing it alone. So these are terms in the template and what it means so far as the learning plan is concerned. Any question or contribution? Because when you go to the secondary school, these are things you are going to meet, and these are some of the things we expect you to understand and you go by. Mr. Asante, your hand is up. Let me hear you. Mr. Asante, your hand was up. Oh, I should carry on.
Oh, sir, sorry. Oh, carry on, please.
Okay. Now let's look at prerequisites of learning planner. Prerequisite of a learning planner. So the prerequisites here, we are talking about requirements for teachers who want to plan their lesson when you are using the standard base, the learner planner. What are some of the requirements, the things that you need in order to plan your lesson in terms of the learner planner? The first thing is that as a teacher, you need to have an understanding of 21st century skills. If you look at the curriculum, you will see that, let me see if I can get it and show you something in the curriculum. I want to see if I can just a minute here. Judith. Hello, Judith. Yeah, sorry. Can you send me the geography curriculum I sent to you? I'm teaching. I want to show it to the student. I can't find mine on my laptop. Why? Okay. Yeah, I've asked my TA to send. I just sent it to him the last time, but I've changed the phone I was using because it was giving me problems. So this new, I'm checking it's like a whole lot of documents on my laptop. So I've asked it to send. I'll show it to you some. So what we are saying is that you must have a thorough understanding of the 21st century skills, because see, when you look at the geography syllabus, the curriculum, there is aspects that you are supposed to develop the 21st century skills as part of the lesson. So if you do not have an understanding of these 21st century skills, how can you utilize it? Okay, let me show you. Yeah, I sent it. So let me show you something. And then they say
because this chapter 3, it is lengthy over.
It's lengthy.
Yeah, you know.
Even this one, I've taken some things out too.
And they are similar to similar.
I've taken a lot of them out. Okay. But in the material, the template is there. It's up. Okay, so there's the curriculum, the geography curriculum, standard-based geography curriculum. I just want to show you something. Then we make progress. So don't be worried. One of my students,
Okay,
after off campus, came to thank me that where the school they went, he was the only one who was using the standard base and he was able to use it well. So all the supervisors who came commended him to teach his colleagues. So I just want you to get grips, understanding of it, so that wherever you also start, you can speak like someone who have gone through the program. Not that they ask you something, you cannot speak to it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this the geography curriculum for senior high school, which was done in September 2023. I just want to show you some about the 21st century skills I'm talking about. So look at the curriculum. This is how it starts. So you see that we have the subject, geography, strand, the earth and its neighborhood. Substrand, the earth and its features. Look at the learning outcomes. With the understanding of geographical environment, explain the meaning of geography, and then look at it. 21st century skills and competencies. Have you seen it?
Yes, though.
Collaboration and self-confidence. Learners work in mixed ability groups, share ideas, and build their confidence level during brainstorming. Learners learn to unlearn and relearn and build their self-confidence from think, pair, share, and discussion. Then come to the other side. GECI, that's gender equality and social inclusion. Learners having experienced a teaching approach that ensures gender equality and social inclusion, where they work with each other in an inclusive way. Cross-sharing of knowledge and understanding among groups and individuals will lead them to be aware of their individuals of different geographical areas. Then we have SE, which is a social emotional learning aspect. You see, also there. Then explain the constituents or characteristics of them. We have creative skills. So what we are trying to say here is that as a teacher, you must have an understanding of the 21st century skills, because every topic there has a 21st century skills that you must develop. So that's why it is the first prerequisite so far as the learner planner is concerned. Because if you do not have understanding of these 21st, how can you apply it as is stipulated in the curriculum? So a learning planner must incorporate 21st century skills such as critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication as is stipulated in the curriculum. You must also have knowledge of curriculum standards. Be familiar with the national, local curriculum standards. Very, very important. For example, there are new things that are stipulated, and we have content standards and all those things, which is our new things. You must understand it, have knowledge of it, and how you can even help achieve those things. You must also have awareness of diverse learning needs of students, which is very important. And you can be able to know this by recognizing the diversity in student learning styles, their background, their abilities, their interests, which are very fundamental prerequisites for learner planner. You must also be familiar with effective teaching strategies, which must be grounded in evidence-based teaching strategies, especially strategies that are learner-centered, that will ensure that learners are taking active part. Then integration of technology. You must have knowledge of educational technologies, increasingly important in creating relevant learner planner. Because these days we are talking about Google Earth, globes, maps, and all these things that you must have knowledge of it as a teacher and to incorporate them. Now, what is the importance? What are some of the importance of learning planner? Learning planner. So think through of the importance in 2 minutes, and you are going to share with me. Let me take it from there again. I don't know, some of you look at it and so 2 minutes, think through the importance of all these things we are talking about and share with me so that we'll continue from there. Just a 2 minutes. And from all that we have discussed, what are some of the importance of a learning planner? Yes. Yeah, cycle for.
Encourages students' participation during
It encourages student participation during
teaching and learning processes, activities.
Thank you. Stephen.
Doc, please, I would say it prepares the student to tackle future problems.
Student to do what?
It prepares the learners or the students to tackle future problems or challenges, please,
That's great.
with the help of the 21st century skills.
Yes. Judith.
Sir, it helps to track progress as well.
To track progress as well. That's great. Mr. Amwa.
So it encourages learners to take ownership of their learning.
That's great. Then we have Victor Scoffy. Says that identification of strength and weakness is easy. It makes lesson delivery easy. It makes the student become global citizen. That's good. For yeah, Mr. Victor Scoffy. Thank you too. Paul said to it improves teaching effectiveness. That's great. Okay. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Any other? Okay. So all that you are saying are perfectly in line. So it enhances instructional effectiveness, as we have already indicated. A well-structured learning planner, yes, it reduces, Mr. Amwa, it reduces stress on the part of the learners, yes. A well-structured learning planner facilitates organized and coherent instruction. And that brings the effectiveness we are talking about. Student engagement, promote student engagement, yes. So that any learner planner that incorporates active learning strategies encourage student participation and interest in the subject matter. Support assessment and feedback. It serves as a framework for assessing student progress and providing timely feedback, which I think Judith or one of you also said it. It fosters collaboration and communication, especially where it emphasizes collaborative activities among learners. And this helps them to develop essential communication skills among themselves, because as they work in groups, they will communicate, they will share ideas, they will contribute, they will tolerate, agree to disagree, and all these things help to build their either oratory skills or writing skills and even presentation skills, which are all forms of communication skills. It prepares students for the future challenges. Yes, Stephen said it. It encourages lifelong learning. It promotes an ethos of lifelong learning by instilling growth mindset in students. So it's not just, we are not just interested in teaching you to go and pass, but to progress according to your ability and how you can solve tomorrow's problem. That's why it's not advisable that whilst you are teaching, always you tell yourself, hey, in exams, when you are asked, this is how you have to, this is how you have to. See, when you are the type who is used to that, you create the impression, the mindset of the student, all that you are learning is for exams purposes and nothing else. That's why they will choose poor person for you get their A's and forget and come and see them in the university, how they are struggling to justify their A's that they had in WASI. Times you wonder whether they truly wrote it themselves or AI wrote it for them. The next one is scheme of learning. We are saying that a scheme of learning is a detailed and structured document that outlines the content. But before that, any question on that before we switch to a scheme of learning? Yes, please. Stephen, go ahead.
So with regards to the standards-based curriculum, where initially they were to write a common entrance exams, that's before they can go to the university. So come to the university, perhaps come together and also structure a paper or an exams for them to write, so that it will help to streamline those that the university think they are not fit to enter the university, and also to improve the quality of education that we want in the country.
The truth of the matter is that, in fact, the government even wanted to take over universities admission. When they were doing this, they wanted to even take over all the universities admission. Then they will have a central committee who will do the admission for the universities. And the universities did not agree. Because, see, it is true that admission that universities also get something, some no kofio for development for the school. So if you say that you are putting all the universities together at one central team and you buy one forms, just like, is it the National Training College? When you buy one form, you can select from different training college. In the university, when you buy UCC, you can't take UCC forms to Lagos or to Winneba or to KNUST, likewise other universities. So it will be difficult for them to come together and say that when you buy one forms, irrespective of where you want to go, we all want to conduct one exams for you. It will not work. And the government has decided to use a means of assessing students through WASI. So with that WASI, is what the universities are using to give you admission. So if they say universities should come together to have one common entrance exams before people who picked to go to university. Now, all the universities are doing programs that at first they did not used to do. So there's competition. Lagos was not doing education, but now they are doing education. They have been giving colleges to monitor, to mentor. KNUST was not doing education, but now he's doing education. He has been giving colleges to mentor. Then this place, what again, crap? So you see, now there's a competition everywhere. Winneba is having a competition with UCC. So I don't think that they will agree that, oh, okay, come together, we'll have one common entrance exam so that when you buy this, because, and whilst you are delaying, he wants to give him admission because a student will buy two forms, UCC and Lagos or Winneba. So, Oceana will delay your admission. So he doesn't have the alternative. Inti, Oceana Winneba Bana UCC buy, okay, we'll go tell him by school fees, no, call baby. So because of that seeming competition among the universities too, it becomes a problem for them to come together to decide that we are having one common and these things. Ideally, it's the government who should have done that, and he also has surrounded that to the quiet people. And these are all management decisions. It's not an individual lecturer because lecturers don't take charge of admissions. It's a purely management decision, and there's a whole directorate in charge of admissions with its director. So it has nothing to do with lectures. Stephen.
Doc, please.
I guess I've answered you.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, scheme of learning is a detailed and structured document that outlines the content, sequence, and organization of lessons over a specified period. It serves as a vital guide for educators, specifying what topics will be covered, the learning objectives for each teaching method to be employed, and how students progress will be assessed. The primary purpose of scheme of learning is to ensure, one, coherence and continuity of an educational experience. Is to help teachers plan lessons systematically to address all essential topics, and is to allow students to build on their knowledge progressively. These are the main purposes of scheme of learning. Now, let's see if you can draw some difference between scheme of learning and also scheme of work. The scheme of learning is a broad plan outlining topics, skills, and concepts over a term or year, focusing on learners' progress and achievement. Whilst a scheme of work is a detailed guide on how a specific lesson will be taught within a scheme of learning. Scheme of learning emphasizes learners' overall progression, achievement, and understanding of the curriculum, while scheme of work focuses on specific lesson plans, activities, and tasks for delivering content. Scheme of learning typically covers an entire term, semester, or academic year, but scheme of work can cover a week, month, or specific period within a term. So it depends. Scheme of learning includes learning outcomes, key topics, assessment, and progress criteria. Then, scheme of work contains detailed lesson objectives, activities, resources, and timing. Scheme of learning is learner-centered, focusing on student needs and outcomes, while scheme of work is teacher-centered, focusing on how lessons are delivered. Scheme of learning provides a general framework, allowing flexibility for broad learning goals, while scheme of work is more rigid, specifying exact lesson content and time allocations. Scheme of learning aimed at curriculum planners and teachers for long-term planning, while scheme of work primarily for teachers, guiding their daily or weekly lesson delivery. Now, what are the prerequisites when it comes to content effect? Yeah, that's the element of scheme of learning. Every scheme of learning must have a clear learning objectives, which is a roadmap of what students should achieve by the end of a lesson or course. We have contents, learning activities, projects, resources, assessment and evaluation, and feedback mechanisms. Feedback mechanisms, they are essential for helping students understand their strengths and areas for improvement. So in geography, feedback should be timely, specific, and constructive to help learners improve. Now, what are some of the prerequisite requirements for preparation of scheme of learning? We are saying that every scheme of learning, as one of the requirements in your quest, must all the things within the scheme of learning must align with the curriculum. Must align with the curriculum. That is, the curriculum is entails the topics, the skills, the jersey and cell that are used to prepare the scheme of learning and translated into the learner plan. So you must make sure that all the things in the scheme of learning is aligned with the curriculum. That's why I said it must align with the national or institutional geographic curriculum to guarantee that all the necessary content and skills are covered in the scheme of learning. It must be learner-centered. It should prioritize the needs, abilities, and learning styles of students, ensuring inclusive and engagement in learning process. There's what we call progression that you must also bear in mind. Topics within the scheme must be arranged in a logical sequence that facilitates cumulative learning where new knowledge builds upon the previous learned concept. Then assessment and feedback. That is integrating both formative and summative assessment to monitor students' progress. Then adaptability. It should be flexible enough to accommodate changes, unexpected events, and vary student needs as well. And the use of diverse resources, meaning that it should incorporate variety of learning materials, both digital and traditional, enhances the teaching and learning process of the learner. And lastly, importance of scheme of learning. We are saying that scheme of learning guides teaching. It provides teachers with clear roadmap for delivering lessons, ensuring that all the topics are covered within the available time or frame. It also promotes consistency, especially when teachers across different classes or schools utilize the same scheme of work. It helps ensure that all students receive a consistent educational experience across the country. And it facilitates assessment. A well-structured scheme aligns assessment with learning objectives, ensure that students are tested on relevant content and skills. It also supports student learning, especially when there is the concept of progression. So it enables students to understand the progression of lessons and anticipate upcoming topics. This transparency helps them prepare in advance, fostering a sense of ownership over their learning. It also encourages reflection. Teachers can use the scheme to reflect on their teaching process, evaluating what worked well and identifying areas for improvement. And it also enhances time management. A well-developed scheme of learning ensures that time is allocated appropriately for each topic, preventing rushed or incomplete coverage of topics. So these are some of the importance of scheme of learning. But I think that currently the teacher manuals that have been given to the teachers entails most of the things that you are supposed to do. So in that case, you will not have much stress, unlike you were to do everything by yourself. So that is that for the unit 3. Any question? Any question?
No question, sir.
Okay. So if no question, let's see if we can. Pardon?
Sir, please, it's okay.
Okay, then we can look at teaching learning resources. Now, when we say teaching learning resources, like I always say, these are resources specially designed, prepared, or gathered by the teacher to aid in the delivery or presentation of a particular aspect or section of the lessons or the whole lesson. That means that teaching learning resources, you can design it yourself, or you can look for it. If you cannot design, you can look for someone who has it to pick it. That's what I said. These are resources specially designed, prepared, or gathered by the teacher to aid in the delivery of the lesson, either an aspect, a whole, or the whole lesson. That's why whenever I see people writing Blackboard as a teaching learning resource, how can the Blackboard become a teaching learning resource? Some will write marker and pen as teaching learning resource. Eh? How can these things become teaching learning resource? Yes, please. I know someone will talk. Yeah, Joseph, sorry. Yeah, Joseph, go ahead. Your hand is up. Oh, okay. Then people write textbook as a teaching learning resource. Please, brothers and sisters, textbooks are not teaching learning resource. Oh. They are reference materials. Teaching learning resource are what you have designed, prepared, or gathered. So please, I don't expect, if you do off-campus teaching practice and I happen to come around, I don't want to see Blackboard, marker, and those things as your TLF. Blackboard, the one I would if you favor. Eh? That's the one I would buy. Which one control that's the general said that's as a teaching learning resource. That's the other one I would be papa there. So, hey, any enemy. They say, what do baby I wouldn't be and throw? I say, you have to write something. Anyway. So we can also say that these are materials or equipment which are used in the lesson to ease the teacher's explanations and aid learners' understanding of the lesson. That's why Tamakro Ita will tell you that teachers who uses chalkboard, pen, pencil as their teaching learning resources are not fully using the various channels of communication which makes lesson come alive. Because these are not proper teaching learning resources. You cannot use these as teaching learning resources. So those of you who are fan of doing that, repent. For the kingdom of God is at hand. Amen. Hey, Obianji, so that doesn't mean all of you are suspect.
No, sir, we are not.
So types of teaching learning resources, according to Okobo 2000, there are a number of instructional resources can be classified into visual materials. So visual materials like the pictures, diagram, projectors, teachers themselves are examples of visual materials. Charts, rare objects, study, these are all examples of visual materials you can use. We have audio materials like tape recording, cassette, cartridge, radio, teleconferencing, language laboratories, teacher's voice. These are all audio materials you can use as teacher. We have audio visual, that is combination of audio and pic. So here we can talk of television, video recordings, motion pictures, with soundtracks, slide films, projections, with sound tapes, films, and multimedia. So these YouTube videos, these are all audio visuals material. Then we have software materials, which include graphic materials, printed materials, slide, film strips, overhead transparency, tape cassettes, and motion pictures. These are all examples of software. Then we have hardware materials, and obviously we know include tape recorders. People will say blackboard. That's example of hardware equipment in a classroom. Projectors and video recorders. Then we have electronic devices such as radio, computer, email, multimedia, Google Meet, like we are using. It's an example of electronic devices. Zoom, Microsoft Teams, all those resources that are used to project some information or some knowledge are all electronic devices. Who is that? Then we have non-projected media, which include books and other printed materials, objects, spacemen like rock spacemen, models, graphical materials, bulletin boards, that simulation and games, field trips. Then we have two-dimensional instructional materials and three-dimensional instructional materials. And the difference between two-dimensional and three-dimensional is that one do not have a height. One has a height and one do not. So the two, which of them do not have the height? Two-dimensional and three-dimensional, which of them do not have height? Someone is saying two, someone is saying three. So which is which? Yeah, so justify your answer. When you say two, which one are you saying? Stephen, you said two. So justify. Is it that two-dimensional, do they have height or they don't have? Yes, Stephen. And Anthony Kusi.
No, please. No, please. With the two-dimensional, they don't have height.
Okay. Yes. So the difference is that the two-dimensional just have the length and breadth or width. They don't have height. But the three-dimensional have both length and breadth or width and height. So when we look at the examples, the laboratory stimulations, game spacemen, and all those things have 3D. That's why we have 3D materials and 2D. So these are all classifications of instructional materials that you can tap for your instructional activity. Now, what is the essence of using teaching learning resources? Why do we so much fixated on encouraging that teachers must use teaching learning resources? We say that teaching learning resources ensures standard information delivery. Because if I'm showing a video on the formation of rocks, it's one video that all the students are watching, projecting that same information. Unlike the teacher saying, providing the information, and by the time he re-echo, he changed certain words or he changed certain explanation, and it's like, madam, first, what can I say? But she says, what's answer as the son is saying, who's answer? With teaching learning resources like pictures, videos, and all these things, it's one information that is presented to the learner in that same format. So it ensures standard information was delivered. It also ensures that attention is obtained whenever you are using instructional media. It also enables students to pay attention, to be focused in the instructional activity. You can imagine today you go to class and you say that today, the lesson we are going to teach, we are going to watch a movie or a video of it. So today you will not do the talking. You watch the video and comment. How the students will be happy because always you have been talking. Also, I won't find resource person be cry number or tenetina or casa swai. So when you bring teaching learning resources like videos, it even ease your stress of being talking too much and repeating, and even conflicting yourself. So it makes students focus attentive when these things are used. It also ensures the quality of learning when you use pictures or videos, especially when the words you are speaking is accompanied with what? Pictures or videos. That's why I say quality of learning can be improved through careful integration of pictures and words. And learning can be enhanced since there is a reduction of repeated what? Information by the teacher. And it makes learning become more what? Interesting and extend the scope of experience. Because giving theoretical information and knowledge is one scope. And going a step further to show them videos of the things we are saying or even taking them out to the field and observing, that brings another aspect of the scope of experience. And that's why we are saying that it extends the scope of experience from only the theoretical aspects and to other practical or visual evidence as well. Now, it also helps to supply a concrete basis for conceptual thinking whilst increasing student interest. Because see, the videos and the pictures helps the learners to have a concrete understanding of what we are talking about than the abstract thinking. See, when you are teaching, for example, you tell the person igneous rock is formed by theoretical, that's an abstract conceptualization. But when you show the person the video of how the process is going through for formation, that brings about the concrete basis of understanding of whatever you are teaching them. It enhances retention and transfer of knowledge and support learning through examples and visual elaboration. That's why you could see that those times that there was this Kunkumbaja, you remember that telenovela that Adam TV people brought?
Yes. Oh.
I'm sure some of you were watching. Yes, it's obvious. Judy says she's one of the people who has been watching. Wives were fighting with their husbands on TVs when it's Sundays. Judith, na lie. So you could see that these kids will watch this Kunkumbaja on Sunday evening, come to school on Monday. A teacher will teach them, go for first break. And you could still hear them discussing the Kunkumbaja they watch Sunday evening. to the extent that some are even able to predict what may happen in the next episode. And they will say that I'll be and this and that, to the extent that they can even predict what may happen in the next episode. But ask them what they learned in the morning in the classroom. Louis will tell you, I forget things. Why? Because the Kunkumbaja was video, was pictures. It's last, it's stick in their mind. It was last like what we told them in the morning. It's just theory, speech, and that goes to short-term memory. Until they read over, they practice before you can go to the long term. That is why these days it's better to let the students be involved in the activity. Let them watch the videos and pictures to make. I told you at a school I went to supervise, the teacher has done basic school. What you say? And what they say, yes, madam. Now, because of time, all your oral exercise. I didn't know, madam, now can want some no besides student back one, boy back one. I don't know what to say. We understand. No, he was scratching his head. Okay, still. And now madam wanted to move over to go to another person. But that time, the teacher has given me the lesson notes and pictures, samples of the pictures he was using. So I called the madam and I told him to use one of the pictures that he showed it, he gave it to me, to show it to the guy to see if he can answer the question. All the picture it says small boy no share. Then the small says, oh, madam, oh, okay. Oh, madam, this one cry. We have some at the back of our house. Everywhere, if you want to cry, it's you. So you see that, though the madam taught them what it is, but because it was just by words, they say they have understood, but that to some of them, the understanding wasn't there. And so I'm saying, yes, madam. But the moment he saw the picture, I said, madam, we cry if you're home. That's why at times it is important that whenever you are teaching, just relate whatever you are teaching to their life experiences. Look at the environment, things that they can easily relate to. Use them as an example so that they can easily relate to it and apply. Than citing examples that are very unfamiliar, that even you, the teacher yourself, you have not even seen it with your naked eyes. How much more the learners? So it ensures retention and the use of media such as LCD projectors, knowledge and information is able to reach a number of people at the same time. Then we are saying that instructional media also serve as a means of expressing the psychological dimensions of life. Yes, but when they are watching those pictures and the videos, the psychological dimensions that it goes into their memory, they're able to reflect for it to stick into their long-term memory, and they are able to apply in a different context as well. So these are some of the importance of the use of teaching learning resources. So my teachers, there is nothing like, as for this subject, there's no teaching learning resources for it. At times you go for teaching practice and teachers are telling, oh, say, as for this topic, there's no teaching learning resources for it. There's no TLM for it. It is because you are not creative. It is because you are not stimulating. It is because you are not imaginative. Even if they are no, you can create it. Let me share this with you. There was my student at Okuapimai Senior High. She was going to treat naming ceremony. Then in the teaching them the method, I told them that you cannot teach any lesson without a TLM. As I said, naming ceremony is TLM and make akofa. Because if you want to book, there's no TLM there for naming ceremony. I'm catch and say, hey, madam, you have to be creative. You have to be innovative and imaginative. There are two things. You can search on YouTube to see a video of what people are doing naming ceremony and let them watch it and describe it for you. Or turn the naming ceremony into a drama or role play using the students themselves as characters. So that some of them will be father, some of them will be a mother who have given birth, and some family relatives. So you cannot tell me that you cannot. It's just because you are not being creative, thinking outside the box. So he took the second option of making it a role play or drama. So he used the students themselves as characters. One, a father, a mother, and a baby. That was a toy. This Abu Dhabi baby. And that very day, his lesson was one of the most interesting and enjoying lessons for that particular. In fact, the students themselves were happy to see their own colleagues as a father with chalk in their as a form of beer. Seeing their own colleagues as a mother, some were laughing and they were enjoying the play. And by the time of the play, the students themselves did the teaching and did all the everything for the teacher without the teacher talking about it. So my brothers and sisters, there's nothing like as for this topic, there's no TLA. So you also have to think when you are using students as characters in a role play, you can use them. So there's nothing wrong using students as your characters in a play. Okay, let's look at principles for selecting teaching learning resources. And this brings the issue of what Mr. Amwa raised the last time when we were looking at the principles of teaching. And I'm sure Mr. Amwa is with us.
Yes, please.
So this year we are looking at what should guide or inform you to decide that I'm selecting a picture, I'm selecting a video for this TLM for my lesson. You cannot just stand up and select anything for your lesson. You must be guided by some principles. And that's why I want to look at principles for selecting teaching learning resources for your lesson. The first principle we are talking about is the principle of reliability. So we are saying that as much as possible, teachers should make sure that the instructional material so selected can be used to achieve the objectives of the lesson. What you have to take note is that you cannot just select any picture or any TLM. Whatever picture you are using or selecting should enable you achieve the purpose of which the picture was selected. For example, if you are teaching about the earth and its features, I want to show us how the earth looks like. And you go and bring topo sheets. Yes, these are all relevant resources in geography, but can you rely on a topo sheet to project the earth? Can you rely on it? The best thing to use is the globe. So though topo sheet is a relevant feature when it comes to land or earth issues, but talking about Earth, the nature of it, and its features, the best teaching learning resource is the globe. So though you can bring a teaching learning resources which is relevant in the area of geography, but you cannot rely on it. And since you cannot rely on it to achieve the essence of the pictures, then it's not reliable. So always ask yourself, if I'm going to use a phone as a resource, will the phone help me achieve the purpose of the lesson? Or not? Then if the thing is not relevant, it's not reliable, then its relevance is also questionable. Because the relevance shows that whatever theorem, it must be related to the topic. So take note, care must be taken to ensure that only instructional resources that relate to the topic are used whilst what? Whilst teaching. Yes, you are talking about rocks. We have defined rocks. Then you are showing us samples of the rock. This is how rocks look like. It is relevant, but the timing of its use is also important. One would have thought that when we have defined the formation of these rocks, the igneous, then you show us examples of each. That will make more sense than defining rocks and showing us varieties of rocks. So relating it to topic is also important at the time of what we are talking about to correspond with the TLM that you are using. There was this lady I supervised for micro teaching. Then he was talking about independence. Then I think there was, is it independence or the role of an independent individual in something like that? Then he brought a picture. And the picture, no, I think, let me use this one. I think this one was talking about entrepreneurship. Then he brought pictures. It was a chart as a A3 sheet with Papa Kosindom, Despite, and another one person for the student to watch the video. The pictures, he pasted it on the board. Then after they watching the pictures, he asked the question, from the pictures you have watched, what will be the topic for the day? And I queried her that, you see, that is not how we use a picture. They have watched, these are personalities. how does the fact that watching these personalities, the student will be able to say that we are looking at entrepreneurship? Meanwhile, Papa syndrome can be attributed to a politician, PPP. So it might not even come into your mind that you are talking about Papa syndrome as an entrepreneur. But he was saying that them watching the pictures, he wanted them to figure out that they are entrepreneurs, which is totally wrong. Yes, what the pictures has some relevance in terms of the topic he was going to talk about. But the point of introduction he wanted, he couldn't have relied on the pictures to introduce the topic as entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. So rather, he should have asked a question that from the pictures you see, this is Papa Kwesindo. Who is he? Oh, maybe he's a politician. Apart from the fact that he's a politician, what does he do again? He owns a lot of businesses. Okay, that's good. This is another person. Who is that person? Despite. Oh, he's the one who owns a Peace FM, Special Eyes, Need Fufu, and those things. So he's also what? A business person. Then this is another person. So all these persons that you have described, this own this, this own this, this own this, this own this. When you put them together, what term can we use to describe these people? Oh, some will say they are businessmen. Or some say they are business tycoon. Some can also mention that they are business owners or they are entrepreneurs. And the word you are looking for is what? An entrepreneur. Yes, yes. So when the word comes entrepreneurs, then you clap for them and say, yes, that's good. All these people, when you put them together, they are what? Entrepreneurs. That is why they want to look at entrepreneurship, but we'll focus on the entrepreneurs, who they are, and their features. This is how we utilize TLMs in your introductory aspect of your lesson or in the delivery of your lesson. Are you getting the picture?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we have the principle of availability. We are saying that as a teacher, you should ensure that the instructional material to be used are easily available for use before the date of its use. And that's what Mr. Moore advised us the day that we're looking at the principles. The fact that you have seen the globe in the bookshop or storeroom does not mean that you will have it the day that you want to use it. So you must take steps to check whether the globe is in a good shape that you can use it. That's why if you want to use, if you are improvising, if you are designing it and bringing it to yourself, that's fine. But where you are going to pick it from the storeroom or take it from somebody, make steps to ensure that it is easily within your range that you can easily get it. And make sure they are in a good shape. Not that you have seen it there. So the day that you want to, you go there and the thing is not in good shape. Or when you even switch it on the projector, it doesn't come. So availability is not just seeing it there, but making steps to ensure that whatever resource or object you want to use is in a good shape and can be used that day. That is availability. And this things must be done way before the day of your lesson. Then we have accessibility principle, which the accessibility principle ensures that you don't only have to check that they are available, but you must also go a step further to see whether it is what you can access it or not. That means that don't only go and check that it is there. Oh, yes, I've seen it there. Or it is in a good shape. You must make a step further to check from the storekeeper whether no one has booked for it, so that you book for it. Other than that, you may think, though, I've gone there, it's there, I checked. But on that day that you want to use, probably someone has booked for it. So you may not get access, though it is available, but you cannot get access to it. So you must make a step further to book for it with the storekeeper or whoever in charge, so that if anybody comes to book for it, they will say that, oh, for Tuesday, Mr. Emmanuel Amua has booked for it, so you can't have it. That is where it can be accessible to you. So it is not enough to check whether it is readily available for you to use it, but you must also make a step further to check and secure it to be accessible to you on the day that you want to use it. Some of you will go there and check and go and sit somewhere to the extent that even the morning that you are going to, you not even go and pick it. Some of you go to the class, start teaching, and get to go and bring it. That is not a good ethics of a teacher. Once you are going to the classroom, go with all your resources that you need before you start your lesson. So those of you who are in the perchance of doing that, please stop it. It's not good. Some of you, you are lazy to the extent say you want the student to do everything for you. More time, even some will want the student to copy their notes for them. By God's grace, these days standard, but we don't copy notes. So stop that. Then affordability principle. Here we are saying that if you want to a resource that will demand that if the school even have to use their resources, it can even cost them. If that's the case, you can think for an alternative. So affordability principle ensures that the teaching learning resources that is going to be used should not be too expensive, should not be costly, such that either the teacher or the school cannot afford it. Then we have suitability principle. Here we are saying that the instructional materials or the teaching learning resources must be appropriate to the Hamza, Shamsu. We are saying that the instructional resources to be used should be appropriate to the level of development of the learner. You see, the fact that you are talking about deviant behavior or causes of teenage pregnancy or certain deviant acts, talking about prostitution and all those things and people watching pornography and those things, it does not mean that you want to show them pornographic pictures. No, that is inappropriate. Yes, whatever you though is relevant to whatever you are teaching, but it is not appropriate to the level of the student you are teaching them. There are certain images when you know that you expose the student to it, it can affect their emotions and their trauma. Please desist from it. Yes, you are talking about road accidents and death cases. Then you come and show pictures of an accident where dead bodies are lying down. Oh my God. You human beings, when you see it, how do you feel as an elderly person? When you see it, how do you feel? A colleague shared with me this just last week, a student, a UCC student who was coming to write exams, got to the center they were about going to write. They have not even started going. And he remembers that he has forgotten his ID. So a friend who wanted to help him took her on a motorbike to his hostel. They picked the ID. On their way back, they hit into a pothole, and the guy sitting at the back coming to write the exams somersaulted And unfortunately, the Ayalolo bus has also approached already. So when he went to fail, the bus could not do anything than to run over him. And a student who saw what happened in front, he says that he couldn't write the exam because of that. He was shaking in the exam room because of that thing he saw. He has never seen that before with her naked eyes. He was shaking. So you see, we are saying that it's not everything that you are teaching, though it's relevant to the topic, that you can show it to learners. It must be appropriate to the intended learners, the appropriateness of that, the level of the extent that you are showing. That's suitability principle. The guy has died a painful death. Because when people shouted and the car retreated, all the bones has broken, so he could not even be lifted. They have to use shovel. Level 200 students. We funny crunch here. We have to take it. So, and then we are mobile. Then we have simplicity principle. Simplicity principle ensures that the teaching learning resources that you are to use should be simple to operate and manipulate by you, the teacher, and the learners as well. You see, that is why it is important that you must get hold of that resource, play it yourself, watch it yourself, so that you will know that the point that you want to show is what is showing. A 21st century teacher who doesn't know how to manipulate a projector is an error. At least projector, computers, videos, and all those, you should know how to manipulate them. That at this time you don't know how to download YouTube video that is relevant to your topic and to show them to your students. Then you go and download all the videos. I remember one lady at Achimota Senior High. Is going to, normally at first I go with projector when I'm going for teaching practice. He downloaded a YouTube video. He couldn't even watch the video to check. The lesson was 1 hour and the video that he was showing was a 1 hour video. Which of the minutes are you going to use to do the teaching? Then at a point he's saying that, oh, we should go forward. We should put oh, I want to go forward. And those he himself doesn't even know how to go forward on a video and all those things. And these are things that should not happen to any teacher who is well oriented to embarrass yourself in the classroom. At a point, some of the students have to even come and help her how to manipulate the thing. Why should the student come and even decide to cut the video and those things for you? You should have watched that in first place. Tease out the one you want so that you only play the portions you want to. I remember there was a time that Sunday school were doing children's week, and the Friday was a movie show. So I was tasked to get a movie, but because I was that they were doing week program and in the morning were up and down. So when I came the day, I said, no, I'll be very busy on a Friday. So I downloaded I Am Gabriel. That's the movie title, I Am Gabriel, an American movie. So I downloaded it from YouTube and I started watching it and I fell asleep because I was tired. I woke up in the morning, I started with my morning duties and went up. We got to the day that we're going to watch the movie. We started watching the movie and the young boy started doing miracle. You know, that place, it has not rained for many years. And the boy who was sent in the name of Angel Gabriel, at the end of the day, the first miracle was that he was able to pray for the rain to rain. And the students were happy, the kids were happy that this small boy was able to do that. They were enjoying. And he did another miracle. Someone who could not see, he was able to see. Oh, it got to a point where the movie was so enjoying, it was so captivating, it has even gotten the attention of the student and then paying for. Oh, yeah, Joanna, I don't know, Atoko. Say, Asamaba. I'm so, Charlie, then I'm going to a monoson projectors, Monamuye, then I dare to quick. Monsa revising the beam. You do an idea sans what to be. I'm saying, I said, the moment you offered in a year and at was. I went to the top, not knowing I didn't download you. Not knowing that the thing couldn't finish downloading. And because I also did not get time to watch to the end, I could not notice that. But if I had taken my time to watch from the beginning to the end, I would have known that when downloading. So I have to use some trick and say that, hey, even the point we have gotten to, we have to do some prayers and pray for God to give us some grace. So that, and the kid said, oh, want to watch it to the end. You want to watch it to them? No, time is also going. Let's pray, then tomorrow we'll continue it. Meanwhile, the ideal thing that they should have watched it to the end. But I have to use some means to cover up my ignorance or my negligence. So what I'm saying is that whatever instructional resources, it must be, please watch it yourself. If you are to manipulate it, it should be something that you can easily manipulate and operate. It shouldn't be too technical or complex for you yourself to operate. Then it should also be said that when students are given opportunity to try, it should be easy for them. That's what we call simplicity. It must be simple to operate and try it, be it by the teacher or the learner. Then we have qualitative principle. Here we are saying that the instructional material selected for teaching by the teacher must be of what? Good quality. It must be of what? Good quality. Then you see a teacher, because almost see TLM pictures. Students in the doors will need projector. Now I call printed pictures or the better. Now pictures now you want the student to watch the pictures and identify. And the picture you are bringing for them to watch and identify, you have printed the picture in black and white. Even the black and white has faded. How do you expect that teacher, that kid to look at that black and white faded picture to point to what? That is not of good quality. Oh, so I mean, you camera printed colored one CD. Black and white 50 pesos. Colored one CD, madam. Jensen Funa Okaka on. Then don't print it at all. Your teaching learning resources must be of good quality. No, I could print it black and white. I didn't see faded. No, why wouldn't himself once or drawing in yet? Probably all your good at drawing. No, I got to chat. No, I hear drawing by Sabina, a Macana baby, who be more fina, be more work is not the other from board is there. Abo Fran and share, non cabin. And yeah, by force. So when you draw by force, look for some. In fact, some of the students are even good at drawing. They can do a nice sketch and give you nice colors. And Poho said that is good. And don't turn yourself into jack of all trade. At times, you cannot do everything. So please take note. Your teaching learning resources must be of good what? Quality. It shouldn't be defamed. It should not be faded. You see that when they see it, what new to say then? You see. Then the next principle is recency principle. And here we are saying that the instructional resources should be the best or nearest to what? The best. It should not be out of what? Date. So it's from the word recent. The recency is from the word what? Recent. We are saying that the teaching learning resources must be current. It must be up to date. Now you are talking about the regions, the administrative regions of Ghana and their boundaries. Then you are still showing a map of Ghana showing 10 regions. Are you a 21st century teacher, you are cake. You, the teacher yourself, you are outdated. You have to take you out of the classroom to go to school. You cannot be talking about the map of Ghana and administrative things and you still continue to show us 10 regions whilst we have 16 regions. You are not current. Whilst you are talking about current happenings and current knowledge, then you are also projecting outdated information. Like what happened in the Approaches Series Social Studies. Now they were still talking about the cadence time, Rollins time. Whilst even as at the time of President Mills, they have the Youth Authority Policy, which has given a lot of description about youth policy and all those things. Then the Approaches Series was still talking about the cadence time. And I saw the book and I said, no, this book is archaic. It is out of date. Some of the private publishers, they don't take time to do peer review and editorial to ensure that the information they bring out is current. So teachers, don't just be in a rush to pick any material or resource to the classroom. Please be current, be up to date, be reflective of what is happening. Make sure that it is quality, because the quality nature of it will even make your learning or your teaching very less stressful. And make sure that it is simple, that you can manipulate. Like I said, every teacher here, at least for nothing at all, you should even know how to use a projector. If you should know how to do a projection, PowerPoint projection. You should even know how to insert a video in a PowerPoint to show your student. When you are presenting, you should know how to use a laser pointer, how to move forward. And these are basic things that a 21st century, you must be in the known of it. Any question? Any question?
No, sir.
No question, please.
Guidelines and requirements for the use of teaching learning resources. When you are using teaching learning resources, you must be guided by these guidelines. First, you must first specify, why am I using these teaching learning resources? Specification of objectives. So in your learner plan, all these things must be spelled out, or whatever guide you are using. So clear objectives must be stated as to why you want to use these teaching learning resources. What do you seek to achieve with it? That should be the first thing that should guide you. And the next thing is that, is the teaching learning resources using appropriate, looking at the situation and the context within which we are using it? And how would the individually also respond to it? That's why I say maximal fit with instructional tasks. Looking at the environment, would that teaching learning resources fit the environment or the situation within which you want to use it? Is it appropriate that the student can easily watch it, understand it, and respond to it? Some go and pick videos with foreign dialects, and their English is such that even you, the teacher yourself, you are struggling to hear their words because of their accent and English. No, or be play actually class or munti, whilst you, even the teacher, having problem. How can the student individually respond to such a language? Video na wo download them from the wo share kasana so we Indian fool, so we Buddhist fool, so we Abu Dhabi fool. The omukasa mo accent no quite different. Who teacher no go baby you don't hear. Now some from man share. One share kadan. So at times you must consider whether even the speech that is attributed to the resource is appropriate to the understanding of the student. Because Nelson Mandela said, at least if you teach a child in a language he understands, it sticks in the head. But if you teach a child in his own language, do you know that these days kids likes watching these telenovelas that are translated into Fanti? You know that they like watching them, all because that they have been translated into Fanti. Them abini praja, send an Fanti. Kunkum bajan, send an more kind of Fanti, Zanozo. And I know more kind of brofu.
So fancy.
Yes. So you see that they can easily respond to it because they are speaking in their own language. Even if it's not in their own language, it should be their language. I made this, and one of my students decided to use his friends and herself as a presentation, and they captured them on a phone as a video for their teaching learning resources. You see, at times you yourself with your friends can have a speech or do something, capture it on your phones and use that video as your teaching learning resources. And your students will love it and get more understanding than picking foreign pictures and foreign students, which they cannot even relate themselves to it. Onolo a Ghana or a black. Now there's one channel a brony be or then come or then baby or can number of Fujin. How can that Ghana relate? And that's why it's about time as a Ghanaian, we need to begin to have videos and pictures that reflect our own context, African context and Ghanaian context for our teaching and delivery. And it seems that these days people are they are trying this when you go to YouTube and all these areas. But in geography, some of the things is difficult to get local videos. Like this continental drift and all these kind of things. Most of the people who have written extensively have these same foreigners. So we are forced to. Then you must also prepare and preview. So for effective and a successful use of instructional material for proper teaching situation, the teacher must in advance prepare himself, the learners and the environment. Prepare in advance yourself. If the learners are going to watch and play a role, prepare them as well. And even the environment within which you are going to what? Show or use that resource must be prepared. And you must preview, watch it and see if it is exactly what you want to project so that you will not end up misfiring in the use of your teaching learning resources. There was also a multi-dimensional presentation. We are saying that proper and creative use of a variety of instructional materials at different levels of lesson planning can be adequate in achieving various instructional works. So at least when you use variety of instructional resources, it's good. So that students with different learning styles and ability can also achieve their best out of it. So that's why it is not good to stick to pictures alone. At times when you bring pictures, you can vary it with videos. You can also vary with outdoor activity. But it doesn't also mean that you should have a picture for every objective in the lesson. No. It doesn't also mean that every activity in the lesson should get a picture or video. No. Yes, please. I see a hand up. Mr. Amwa.
Yes, sir. Sir, please, with the point that you just explained, the multidimensional presentation.
Yeah.
It is true. I teach in an inclusive school. So we have the sighted and then those with visual impairment. So sometimes if you want to use any resource, let's say if you want to project a video to the learners, you have to get a video, or even if it's a picture, you have to get a picture with an audio so that those sighted learners will just watch the video, or they will just look at the steps in the projected by the picture, and then those with visual impairment will also listen to the audio. They will also go through the process. So sometimes we have to get teaching and learning materials that will cater for both the sighted and then the visual impaired learners. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Then environmental situation. The environmental variables such as physical, culture, and social in which the instructional materials are utilized for learning have a significant effect on their effectiveness. The physical has to do with the infrastructure. That's or the classrooms and other things that is going to, you see, for example, when we are using a projector and the classroom, then the environment and the ventilation or the illumination of the classroom can affect the visibility of the projection or not. You see that when the lighting system are very high, when you project, it becomes blur. So that's why projection, we normally need a dark room, not a blackout room, a dark room where the light intensity is very low to project well. Now, there are also cultural issues and social issues that could also affect students' ability to watch certain images, pictures, or otherwise. You know that there are some students from their cultural background, religious background, and their social background. They see certain pictures or certain things as haram that they cannot be allowed to even watch. That's why I see at times it is even good to look at the institution you find yourself, the restrictions, things you can do and things you cannot do. Because that's why you see, you also have to, when we talk of student culture and socioeconomic background, it's because of some of these things. So, one year, they may go and tell their mom that, hey, what this, and you may have a problem with the community. So as teachers, there was an issue that was shared that there was this teacher in the Nzema area. The teacher is very good, but he's so on the point that telling the student, if you don't learn, and you will not help you cheat in the WASI. And some of these students went to report to their parents. And instead of parents telling their people to sit down and study, they also reported to the leaders. And to the extent that the chief called the teacher to tell him that our people are complaining that you are not helping them to pass the exams. So there are two things. Either you help them to pass the exams or you stay off. This guy taught like joke. He was so much insisting that he will ensure that the right thing is done. The guy died even before they wrote the exams, without falling sick, without any accident. He died. In fact, one of my fathers even advised him to leave the school to a different school because of what the chief, if a whole chief could not tell their people to learn and they come and tell you this, leave the school. Oh, and no, before because I was no opposed kakrao. He died before the people wrote the exams. So my brothers and sisters, when you find yourself in a community and you want to ensure that things go right, and you are insisting on the right thing to be done, and your teachers are coming against you, the community people are coming against you, the Odikro is coming against you, don't think twice. Leave their school for them and go to where you'll be accepted. There's not everywhere that you'll be accepted. In fact, even Jesus was not accepted in his own hometown. Go to where you'll be accepted. And life is too short. Don't end your life in the name of you want to ensure the right thing is done. Because when they kill you, you will not have a second life. No kunsa, no kun kwasi kun, no we kwasi wu, be se kwasi ye, na yanso ya banum kwasi ansa. E da koyefi. Measure for outcomes. Instructional materials should be evaluated in terms of their suitability, practicality to the instructional objectives. Means that all the things you are bringing, make sure that it reflects all. Is it practicable? It can help you to achieve the objectives. Now, guidelines for preparing visual aids. This is visual aid too. Take note of this. This is visual aid. Okay, someone saying this is why I have stopped school games. It's nearly happened to me. Papa, don't kill yourself. Even when you just 3 days ago, one of my students called me. I'm so university games so Tiffy. As part of the football, na area ball, no omu huru ahead no mutiko boom crack. Not o collapse. No me resuscitate no na ese man mbo bi o man na wa na. Omo punu na wa san ba. Ese o wa na ni ti wa call hospital 2 times. See say uncle try head CTC say CTC scan o say then is it CT scan. Head CT scan. That way football na o ko boy no. One neighbor said, Uma mina papa what the kid were a fool. Also, I could track. One uncle pays come from CT scan. So, Charlie, you need to apply wisdom to make sure that you don't bring burden to your family. After all, so when you sense danger and you can't do anything about it, please leave there. The first thing is that what kind of activity would the visual aid be used for? Bear in mind that you want to use visual aid. What activity? Are you using it for teaching, training, or project with the SAM community? Because depending on what you are using it for, will depend how you prepare it and present it. If it's a community project, it's different from when you are using it for teaching. So you must satisfy yourself with which activity am I using a visual aid for? What do I seek to achieve with that visual aid? So what are you trying to communicate with a visual aid? That's why after defining the activity, the next step is to ask yourself, what is it that you are trying to communicate with a visual aid? Then we have practical consideration. So after deciding on the aim and the appropriate activity, there are a number of activities which will determine your choice of the visual aid. So you must consider alternatives in addition to the one you want to use, so that depending on your resource-wise or the environmental situation of the class, you can determine which of them will alternatively serve the best interest. And that's what mean practical consideration. Then pre-testing. That is, pre-testing, you must try out what you are going to, the visual aid you are going to use. Try out the soft copy, draft copy you have done, and to see how it's going to be before the day of its use. So pre-testing, the process of trying out a draft copy of the visual aid before the lesson or the day of the lesson that you are going to use it. Then we are producing a final version of the visual aid after you have tried the draft copy. When there is a need for you to make modification, you make it, then you produce the final version, which you assemble it for the day that you are going to use. Then you have to monitor and evaluate the visual aid. You must keep records of how, when, and where, and with whom the visual aid is going to be used, both during the lesson, the pre-testing, and when using it, the final version, and for the lesson as well. All these things are things you must bear in mind whenever you are doing that. Then the last point we want to touch on to end with teaching learning resources has to do with the guidelines for using. The first, the one we just talked about, is for preparing, and this one is for using visual aids effectively. Now, when you want to use visual aids, the first thing is to prepare for the activity in advance. We have always established the activity with which you are going to use, so you have to prepare the activity in advance. That's spend time planning the lesson where the visual aid is to be used. Prepare the physical environment which you are going to use the visual aid, and ensure that there will not be distractions from noise or other interruptions when you are using the visual aid within the school that you are going to use. And you see, at times, one problem, why busy watch child and no be so captain you be your dead disturb class no. Who also as a headmaster man who so to cranat in temple but instructional hours no mu ye dede. Then the next thing is to prepare yourself. Practice speaking and using the visual aid separately, and then speaking and using it at the same time. Beware of your body language and gestures whenever you are presenting. Very important. So that you don't send a certain signal of pride or any form of miscommunication. Also, be aware of your choice of language. Depending on the level of students you are presenting to them, be simple and be precise and concise with your language. And avoid jargons and big terms. When some teachers think that's all Casano you should profile Cassia, and now students will say, hey, say your Tigrofo. You do on top of just speak in a language that your students can understand. Come down to their level. Also, beware of your and other behaviors in relation to what the opposite sex whenever it comes to some of these things, because Charlie, it can create an impression and problem for you, even when you don't intend for that thing. You don't intend for that to be so. Then the next is getting started. And we are saying that whenever you are using, for example, a small picture or poster, please take note of this, it's very important. A lot of you fall foul with these things. Whenever you are using a small picture or poster, give every student time to look at it before going on the next point. Some of you teachers will just print few pictures, about 3 or 4. Then a class of 70, you just distribute it to them. Fine, so take it, watch it. And I'm going to, by the time the next row starts watching, that will be a question. Neglecting the other members. It's wrong. If you know your pictures are small, you cannot share, anybody cannot get copies, put it on the chat, paste it on the board, let everybody watch it at once to save you time. But you cannot be distributing the picture while some people are watching, then you are asking questions. That is totally wrong. You don't do that. Also, when you are using diagrams, please let your diagrams be simple and clear. It shouldn't be complex and confusing. When you are using a picture in a lecture, give people sufficient time to look at it. Don't rush them through. And some say, oh, the pictures should be here after class. You can still come and watch it. The pictures are still with me after. You can still come and watch it. My friend, you didn't bring it because after school they should come and watch it. You brought it to use it at a particular point in time of your lesson. So as part of your preparation, you should have taken that into consideration. And when showing series of pictures, make sure the order and the presentation is understood. When series of pictures, it should arrange in such a way that one picture will lead to the other, and they will see the connections and the transitions and the sense in each of them. Any visual aid being shown must be coincide with the words being spoken at the same time. Take note. Any visual aid being shown must coincide with the words being spoken at the same time. I don't cry my main pet Ghanaian movie. Them Ejekoni, those kind of people. You know that at times they go hard. Picture action in the and sound a speech number. Have you noticed that?
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's very boring. So this is a typical example of what we are saying. That whatever you are saying, it should go with its picture. You don't say something and there's a different picture showing. No. So the visual aid must connect with the words that you are speaking at the same time. So if it's about igneous rock, the picture you are showing should be about igneous rock. It shouldn't be about sedimentary. And there is no need to provide a picture for each part of the lesson, which I've already said this. There's no need. Okay. Then, after the lesson, what do? You must decide where to keep or store the visual aids so that you can use it for subsequent lessons. So these are some of the guidelines you must pay attention to whenever you are using visual aids. And that brings us to the end of the teaching learning resources. Any question up to this point? Any question? So my brothers and sisters, don't go to class to teach and say that's for this topic, there's no TLM. At times you need to be creative, innovative. And that always makes your students happy and enthusiastic. There are some topics when I teach elements of physical geography in Presby University. And at times I ask the students, have you done geography before? Have you done geography? Currently, I'm teaching about 7 first years. About 4 of them are policemen and women. And they are saying they have never done geography again. So one topic, for example, the solar system, the planetary system, I have about 4 pictures and 2 videos. And I gave it to them to watch the videos, listen to it before we meet. The rotation and revolution of the earth, about 3 different videos. And by the time we met, I go for geography that it will be difficult for me to do because they have never done it before. It has made it so easy. So at times you need to be very creative. And I have a number of geography videos. There are a number of websites like YouTube and those things. You can get some of these videos there, which will make your lesson more interesting and more engaging. So my sisters and brothers, as we have accepted the fact that we also minister to children through our teaching, that is our calling, and we will account for it. The Methodist people have a hymn. Also, a child to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never dying soul to fit it from the sky. Then he will tell you that to serve the present age, my call to fulfill. Or may it all my powers engage to do my master's will. You have been called into wherever you find yourself as a teacher of God to transform lives. Don't only be interested in content, also be interested in how to influence their life in godly way. So that all may each all my powers engage to do my master's will. Then he will end by saying that, help me to watch and pray. As a teacher, you must be prayerful. The kids, we are handling them. Some of them are God sent. Some of them are also agents of the devil. They are there to destroy your life. They are there to cause you problems. That is why you have to pray that, Lord, help me to watch and pray. And on yourself, by thyself rely. Assured if my trust betrayed, I shall forever die. Sami gourmet jumowa, muwa onye wi. So gourmet jumowa de ye teacher. Na nchirazi ni ye. Na mama forman we hu nyame we nyan osoro nyansa na nyimezi dem na waka Luke 2:52 that the child grew in wisdom and in stature and had favor before God the man. God will ask you. On that note, I want to leave with you that the word of God renews and restores people who have covenant with the Lord. May the Lord renew your strength as a teacher, and may the Lord restore you of anything that you have lost because of the children you are handling. And above all, may the Lord be a cloud ahead of you this week. and in the nights, may He be a pillar of fire to protect you to do your God-sent mission. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. Madam Mary Aponsa Wonsa was so Kasana Uncle. Oh, Mary Aponsa.
Oh,
I saw your
please,
hand
it
up.
was a
Okay.
mistake. Sorry. It was a mistake.
Okay, Ibrahim Osman.
Oh, Doc, thank you very much.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much for the lesson.
Thank you too.
And please, I wanted to ask for the slide after you are done.
Oh yeah, I think normally I forward it to is it Stephen, and I'll forward it to you. Yeah. Bye.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And the Cecilia, yes, should I show you then we'll cross the curtains here and we'll meet, God willing, next week. Next week, Saturday, I have a matriculation to attend. So it's likely I will let my graduate assistant handle the class for me next week. Tuesday, Monday, Saturday morning, teaching geography. So I have a graduate assistant who is a postgraduate student, MPhil Geography and Regional Planning. He was previously my teaching assistant, TA. So Tuesday, next week, Saturday, I may not be able to join because I have a matriculation to attend at Presby University at Ekopo. I also do some work for them. I teach geography, elements of physical geography, human geography, regional analysis and development planning, geography of development with emphasis on Ghana. There. So Tuesday, you may not hear my voice, but you hear a voice of different person. So when it happens like that, pardon me for that. We'll meet on Sunday and continue with the method. If there is time to, I will start and he will continue later. It will depend on the time they are starting. Normally they do it in the morning. Okay, so thank you very much. And I'm still waiting for that list because this week, UCC, our students are vacating this week. So if I get the list so that we can dispatch the books to various places as well. The books are ready. They are waiting for you to collect them. And the books gives more information, explanations than the slides. Okay. You know, slides, you can put a lot of information as compared to the book. No, the book are cute, but and there are review questions. So please try as much as possible to start solving the review questions at the back. They are the same questions I bring to the quiz and the exams. Especially the teaching geography. Please, I have changed a lot of things. So if you go for the old material or the old slides, some things have changed. I've changed some topics and there's new objective questions that have come in. So if you rely on the old one, you may misfire somewhere. Some of them are still in, but some of them, if care is not taken, you will misfire. So thank you very much for your time and have a good evening.
Doc.
Yes, please.
God bless you, sir.
Doc, please,
good evening. Bye.
Do you have additional copies there? 1 or 2?
No, like I think per the list is not even up to 40. The what I've seen is not up to 40.
I sold all.
Pardon?
I sold all the 40.
All the 40. So
yes.
The truth of the matter is that if there's any addition that will happen, then it must be between 10 going. So first, You let me know. If it is 1 or 2, we can't. But because currently, I don't even know that the number I've seen on the page is 30 something. So if you have sold order, we have to, it must reflect on the list on the page. And that's what I'm using.
Yes, sir. I'll update the list on the page.
So let me know if you are saying that it is, they have exhausted all the 40, how many do you need in addition? So that if I have to go back to the press and discuss it with them, if it is maybe 5, I can do 10 and put the 5 there. Because they will not do 5. Even the 10 is because I have to make an appeal, and that may even cost higher than the 40 that I've done, because the more you print, the more they normally deal with large quantities. But I have to, because I've been working with them, they produce at that time they are considered to consider. So let me know the remaining that have come on board, then I will know what to do.
Okay. And please, colleagues, tomorrow is the deadline. So after tomorrow morning, I'm not going to receive any payments again for all the 3 books. So please, those who still want to pay should pay the money today and tomorrow. Thank you, please.
So have you forwarded the teaching I sent to you yesterday to the page?
Yes, sir. I've done that, please.
Okay, so let me forward this one. So the 3 there is already on the page.
Yes, Doc.
The 3 is already on the page with a sample of all those things that are already on the page. So I'll add this one to the page as well. Yeah. So Osman, go to the page and you see them there. Okay. So bye-bye for now. I think our last meeting, we have to look at each other's faces. Sir. Our last meeting, we have to look at each other's faces, because I've been seeing people's picture and I don't know whether this is their current picture or is their their college matriculation or graduation picture. Looking at Judith, it's as if that Judith's picture is it. So our last meeting.
The current picture.
That's your current picture. Okay, let's do it this way.
Yes.
Let's do it this way. Post your picture on the page with your name so that we'll see your pictures. Why?
Okay, sir. But sir, please do that. Okay, sir. Sir, please. So does that mean after this course you are not going to hand that again?
Yeah, I think after this course, all my courses have been exhausted. The rest of them are not in my domain. So these 2 courses will end my session with you.
Okay.
If they had used the new curriculum, then I would have gotten opportunity to handle you in other courses. But since they are still using the old curriculum that we're using, so this section will end my section with you.
Oh, doctor.
So that's why, at least let's see. April or so I'll be coming to Sunyani to handle some teachers with institute. So at least when I see your pictures and your location, I think I've met I think that's not the person. Yeah. So when I see your pictures, at least when I see you, I can remember you. So that'll be our last meeting. But you can also send your picture on our platform, like the nature of geography and the methods, teaching and methods platform, so that at least I can also see it. The short course I do with Play, that's what we do. The last time we all show our pictures and know where you are from. I can even let me know your location, so that if there's any job, I can call you, tell you, yeah, can you do this to get something there? So that we help each other. Now I need someone. Good. I need someone for appointment at Presby University. You see, in the area of geography, but you have to get MPhil. So I just sent 2 people to Presby University for appointment. So let's pray that as time goes on, any opportunity, we can also connect each other. That's the essence of life. But let's also get in touch as a family. Some of your colleagues, when we finish, they don't even check up. They don't until they get problems with their result before they want to call you to help them. But that's not how life should be. Tomorrow, some of you may need recommendation from us for your masters. So get in touch and let's stay in touch. Though I may not teach you again, but we can still get in touch. Okay. Thank you very much once again and have a good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Doc. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Bless you too.
Bye.